Bonjour, Diane. Mhm.
Hi, Shelley. Hi, it's
How
Diane.
are how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. I just listened to last week's lesson. So
Uh-huh. Okay.
I think I'm a little caught up, but it's confusing, of course.
Oh, I know it is overwhelming, and because the class is only 4 weeks, trying to cram a lot of stuff in there. Were you here with us last week?
No, I was one that was traveling and
Oh,
I
you were travel okay, okay.
Yeah. But here's what I wanted to show you. This is my interest in it. I don't know if you can see this or not. This is just like a sign about pollinators and
Mhm.
it's hard to see like
Yeah, I see it.
butterflies. So I'm involved in my town's historical society as well as like native plants and stuff. And so I
Uh-huh.
did this. So this is my like connection with um, Potawatomi language. And so I had talked with someone locally to, and it's really tiny to see, but on this sign, so I have the Potawatomi word for milkweed and
Uh-huh.
for butterfly. So
Mhm.
let's see, milkweed is, let me see if I can even say it right. Nenemwich. It's blurry, so I don't. And the Potawatomi for butterfly is memege.
Memageg?
I
Mhm.
don't know. I don't know. Well, this is what I wanted to double check to make sure I was right. And so maybe I'll send you the sign or something so you can
Yeah,
read it.
if you wanna send me a list of stuff you'd like to know how to spell it, say it, yeah, please email me and I'll be glad to send you, some
Sure.
information.
Yeah. And so um I got involved in sort of researching and representing. So our town is our historical site is along an old Indian trail. And that's the other thing on this sign. I tried to create, it's very hard to see, but there's this whole like timeline, and I
Mhm.
wanted to represent how many thousands of years the town was an Indian trail. And so
Okay,
it's very hard to see, but it just kind of shows this long timeline.
sure.
Basically, our town was kind of saying, the history of the town started when the Dutch settled here. And so I was like, no, actually, we live on kind of Ridge Road, which is where Lake Michigan, like Northwest Indiana. So that's the
Oh,
state
okay.
up in the Northwest. Um,
Right.
and so anyway, yeah, so Lake Michigan used to actually be right over my house.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, so I did I tried at least to represent the Potawatomi or the Miami, the Indian, culture,
Yeah,
Native American culture in our town. So that's really where my interest is like I want to sort of correct history in some
oh,
ways.
well, that's very nice of you. We appreciate that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and also represent, and we've been planting through another group a lot of milkweed and trying to attract butterflies and
Uh-huh.
kind of work with the migration of the butterfly, the monarch butterfly. So that's been a fun project for like the last three
Yeah.
years. And so
Yeah.
this sign is sort of like the culmination of
Okay.
it. And
Are you
so
gonna be doing a presentation somewhere?
um I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, that's very interesting. But yes, if there's anything else that you need, do send me a list and we'll make sure and get that information to you.
sure. Thanks.
Bonjour, Josetta, Katie. Bonjour.
Hi, hi. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Good, good. Glad to see you back.
Actually, I would say we did a presentation when we did the exhibit, and I do have something I could send you. Um, it was it was hard to represent, and this was one of the sensitive things I was, you know, aware of
Mhm.
to represent our town's history of the Potawatomi culture, not being Potawatomi,
Mhm.
and understanding that, but also to not um, it- represent the Potawatomi as only warriors. And so I was trying to do like daily life type
Uh-huh.
things. And anyway, yeah, I could talk more about that, and I would love to get your input because it is really something I wanted to reach out and talk with someone.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's probably more people here, that you should probably connect with as well. So, yeah. And we can
Yeah.
always set up a Zoom meeting, to see if there's
Yeah, yeah. I have a friend that I met who is a local Potawatomi tribal member, and she um she came to one of the presentation. Actually, she did part of the presentation, and it was really interesting, really, really interesting. So she's seen the exhibit, and so we're I think I think we're on the right track.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're trying.
Well, that's all you can do, but we appreciate it. It sounds really interesting. We have about 4 minutes, everyone. I know a couple of people said they were going to join us a little bit late. Hopefully, we didn't lose too many people. I did have one person say they wouldn't be coming back. They were a little overwhelmed, and I get it. I was also when I started learning. But it's like I said, we have this is scheduled to be a 4-week class because we're trying to get through it before the holidays start. Um, we could actually turn it into a 5-week class if people are interested. But I just really want to give you guys a lot of good information so you'll at least be able to understand some Potawatomi when it's spoken, be able to understand it and maybe write it, maybe conjugate some verbs. Um, if there's anything that I need to spend a little bit more time on, I did have some people to email me and ask questions, and that's great. I love it because I'm willing to help any way I can to try and simplify things. So please do communicate with me if that's the case, because I really don't want to lose anybody. I had one person ask me what my goal was for you to get out of this course, if it was the grammar or if it was uh, verbs, bulking up with verbs, because I had provided a few extra verbs. And basically, I want you guys to get out of this class what you can because we all learn differently. I know the people in our department, one of them, he's auditory, so he hears it, he's got it. They both may be like that actually. Whereas I am a visual and an auditory and a kinesthetic, and I have to do it over and over and over and hear it and see it and write it, and type it, to get that information in. So, yeah, it does. It can be a little overwhelming, but I do really want to do what I can to help you get as much as you can out of this course. So let me go close my office door. Hang on, guys. So we have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. So here's Paige. Okay, guys, it's 5 o'clock, so we will just keep admitting people as they come. Now, hopefully you all received the handouts that I sent you. I am going to go ahead and review first tonight what we learned in the first class, and then we'll get started on the new stuff. I did make a PowerPoint. I didn't send it because I just wanted you to pay attention to the content, and then I will send you the PowerPoint that I did for the review after class tonight, so you'll have it. Let's see, somebody else. Okay, let me pull this up. Okay, are you guys seeing my PowerPoint?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Good deal. Hold on, security's calling. Hello. Yes. I was last time. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, sounds good. Thanks. Bye. Sorry, guys. That Ryan in. Okay. Here we go. So we started with consonants. I know that I said that some consonants are interchangeable. What this means is that some are preferred up north and some down south. Even though there are different letters, they make the same sound, sort of, kind of. Do you guys remember any of those consonants that we talked about last week that I said were interchangeable? Remember, I showed you a list. Like if I say B, do you guys know what the other letter would be?
E.
P. Okay. What about like S,
Z.
C, SH,
ZH.
a ZH, let's see, a D,
E.
okay. Let's see, what else is there? You guys are pretty good. So there's the P. And so I have underlined, I couldn't remember how I did it, but I underlined comma P is how they would say it, how they say it in Kansas for sure. I'm not sure what they say up north, but here we say Bama P. And then, okay, this one we didn't get. So CH and the J, Bagoch or Bagoch. The D and the T, we got that one. Okay, the G and the K, Gisis or Kisis. Kind of similar sounds. It's not exactly, but I just want you to know that if you were to see Gisis spelled with the G or with the K, you would know it's the same. They're talking about the same thing. I just wanted to clarify that. So the M and the N at the beginning, and the S and the Z, we got the ZH and the SH. Okay, and so I just popped up miigwech down here. So miigwech is how we say it here in Oklahoma. That's how our director was taught when he started learning from Norman Kiker. But I do know that a lot of people up north, definitely up north, they use the TTH at the end. It's still pronounced miigwech, I believe. The TTH is something that may have came from one of the Forest County elders. I can't remember what the old writing system was called, but now there's one kind of similar, which is the learner system that uses that also. So Wetch or me with the TCH or with the TTH.
I have a question.
Yes.
On the consonant sheet, there's that M and N, for bed. On those kind of things, it's confusing to me if you say the like naboggan or nboggan.
Mm-hmm. It's
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So it's
So,
or
so if you said like your bed, would it be then gaboggan?
yes,
Okay. All
yes,
right. All right.
yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Two people. Let me let some more people in. Um, all right. Hopefully you guys aren't seeing this little box here. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to talk about vowels. We have our A, which sounds like ah. Our diacritical E with the feathered E, we call it, so it makes the eh sound typically, except when it's followed by a Y. So it'll be like a diacritical E and a Y. That's going to make that long A sound. And then we have O. It just sounds like O as in go. Don't use the double O. That's more northern, probably Ojibwe. And then we have our I, which is the double E. So anytime you see an I, it's going to sound like a double E. And then we have our regular E that sounds like when it's followed by a G or a K, or it's going to sound like when it's followed by an M or an N. So it's very important, again, to look at the beginning and look at the ending of words to know how to phonetically pronounce them. And I'm still learning, like sometimes I still forget those cues. So, don't be too hard on yourself because I'm still learning. I still make mistakes. These are letters that we don't have: the L, the R, the X, the V, and the F. And remember that G will never sound like a J. It will never sound like giant. It always sounds like goat or good. We've got the KW and the GW as in quiet, but also the GW can sound like Guam. The IW, now this one's kind of tricky. W sounds like an O when it's followed by an I. So when you say it together, it sounds like eel. And if you say it real fast, it sounds like you're saying eel. Okay, eel,
Ill.
eel. And so anytime you see the I and that O. And then wow, the WAW, it's going to sound like just WOW, wow. Those of you that entered class after we got started, we're just reviewing what we learned last week before we get started with any new material. So animacy and inanimacy. Basically, this means that things are either alive or not alive. Exceptions to this rule are spiritual items. Do you guys remember what those spiritual items, some of them might be?
Tobacco and corn.
Tobacco. Uh-huh.
Pipe.
A pipe.
Tobacco.
Tobacco.
Guan, spoons.
A spoon. Imquan. Good. Okay. And then food. Some of our food is animate. Do you remember any of those?
Corn.
Corn is animate.
Yeah.
And beans are animate. Kojas. And then, some things in nature are animate.
Trees.
Trees, yes. But not all plants are animate like you would think. Not all water is animate like you would think. Let me let somebody else in here. Um, who is trying to come in? Okay. So like one thing that's kind of confusing to me is like with the nature stuff. So I guess when I first started learning, I thought, all water would be, especially like a river because it flows, but a river is actually inanimate. And the only body of water that is actually animate is a lake, mbus, a lake. So that's one of those Yorkshire Ejaweba things. It's just the way it is. So man-made some things are
Clocks
inanimate,
and cars.
but others are animate. A car is
Animate.
animate. That's one of the exceptions. Yes. What's an easy way to remember a man-made object or something that's inanimate? What do you remember what it ends in?
When or men.
When or yeah. Good job. Let's see who is okay. Hopefully I've got everybody in here. Let me see. Yes. Okay, good. So it's going to end in when or again. That actually makes it a noun. Good. Good. We guess. Good job. So how does this affect usage of the language? So we're asking, how does knowing if something's animate or inanimate affect usage of the language? And the answers are, we need to know when we're doing pluralization, when we're using demonstratives, when we're showing possession, and even when we choose a verb. And remember that I said that something that is considered sacred to you could be considered animate, but that doesn't mean it would be that I would consider it animate. Okay. And we're going to learn about pluralizing and demonstratives and all that tonight. But when I work on my classes, I try to put them in order to where it makes sense. It's a good flow. So that's why we did the animacy and inanimacy first, because you're going to have to know that in order to do pluralization and possession. Okay, this is prefixes and pronouns. So just try to show you a better visual of the Maji pattern with the prefixes and the prefixes that are also the pronouns and what they stand for, who the actors and players are, and it's always in that order. And I don't know if you recall me, I would say reference like first person singular or second person plural. So I tried to break it down here. So this is our prefixes, and there's a list of 7. And remember, for I or me, we use the N, and that's the prefix, but the pronoun is neen. For you or yours, we're going to use G, and our pronoun is geen. And remember, for he or she or him or her, you can either use nothing on the front or you can indicate it with the W. That's also ween pronoun. That's third person singular. And anytime you look in our dictionary, the word that you see, it's always in the he and she form. So third person singular. And then when you get down to the plurals, the N, the second N that we have, that's where we are excluding the person that we're speaking to. That's our pronoun ne, non. So you'll have your prefix in, and then you will have your verb, and then you will end with men. So I show you down here N plus men, Anytime you hear someone say N plus men, they're talking about Ninon, or G plus men, they're talking about Ginon. Ginon is where now we're not excluding the person that we were talking to. Now it's all of us. We're all going to do something, whatever it is, whatever verb we're using. And then the next one, the third G, that's the neen wa, that's the you all. So now this time you're excluding yourself, and you all are going to do whatever it is. And then last but not least, some people choose to put a W down here in front of the verb. I never do. I don't know too many people that do, but I just want you to know you do have that option as a speaker to use it or not. That is the quinoa, and that's they or them. And so that quinoa is indicated by a K. So I want you to try to change your minds that anytime you see that on the end, you know that one of the players is they or them. Okay, and that's fourth person plural. Does that make sense how I have this chart? Or am I confusing you even more?
I think it makes sense, Shelly. This is Lena, by the way.
Hi,
And
Lena.
hi, Shelly. And so I think for me the hardest part is, since I'm so used to like the way we conceptualize European languages, where it's like there's a direct equivalent to the like the singulars with the plurals.
Right.
And for me, I think the most challenging part is like that first person plural, second person plural, where it's like there's that distinction which we don't necessarily have, or there's ambiguity in English or other European languages.
Right.
So I'd love to get some quick advice, please, on how we might be able to conceptualize that better, or possibly since the plurals repeat, like ng, with the exception of the endings, if that makes sense, like ninon, ginon, but the ninwa, ginwa. I know it's probably going to take me a little bit of repetition and drilling, but yeah, if there's like an easier way, or the way that Potawatomi thought conceptualizes it, that would be great. Thanks, Shelly. Miigwech.
Oh, if there was an easy way. If I figure out an easy way, I will be sure to share that.
Okay, sounds good.
It's yeah, it's a little complicated because we don't have something in Potawatomi for every word that we would have in English.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a little bit hard to get used to. The English grammar can kind of get us messed up if we focus too much on that. So
Okay.
yeah.
So just think like purely in like ninon and ginon, and then we'll get it eventually.
Yeah, as long as you know your singular prefixes, and you know that I would just remember that it repeats once you get down to the plural, which always for me is like, okay, that's number 4, and then it's in GG again, and I don't use anything on the bottom. I just put that because if you guys were to see it from someone else, you would be like, that's not what Shelley said. She didn't have it up here. But it's optional. Yeah, I think I know for me, I have to take what is taught to me and I have to put it in a format that makes sense to the way my brain learns. So, good luck, Lena.
Thanks. Yes, and if you think of more ideas later, please definitely do let us know. We'll keep working on it.
Sure, absolutely. Okay. Let's see. Simple VAI verbs and the Maji pattern. We're going to look at both independent and conjunct. These are the verbs where something animate does something by himself or herself and doesn't affect anybody else. So we always here in Oklahoma refer to it as the Maji pattern. Nobody else probably does. So if you go up north and you're like, well, I thought that's the Maji pattern, they're going to be like, what are you talking about? That's our go-to verb, Maji. So we just call it the Maji pattern. But I did give you some extra verbs last week because I wanted you to see that you can plug in regular VAI verbs and they conjugate this exact same way. Now, there are some irregular verbs that don't do that, and we won't really get into irregular verbs in this class. And you'll thank me for that, I promise, when you do actually see them. But so you've got on the left here, you've got your independent Maji pattern with your prefixes on the front of the verb, and then your when we get down to the fourth one, which is the plural, then you have your plural players down on the back side of that. So we do something to the front and the back on the independent. And then on the conjunct side, all the action, all the players, who the player is happens on the back side. That's your yawn, yin, tea, yak, you go, yuck, and what. Does that make sense? Did you guys understand that last week? So whether I'm saying Namaji or Maji yawn, I'm saying I leave. It's the same thing. The only difference is we use independent, the left side, when we're talking about more simple things or like a simple question or simple statement. But once you get into more complex questions or statements using the question words or more than one verb, then that becomes conjunct and you have to use what's on the right side. Okay, so I had asked the question, when did we use independent? When did we use conjunct? So I just answered it, but did you guys remember that part?
Uh-huh. I remember you said last week, Shelley, that you use conjunct when it's either like after it's a question word or an interrogative such as who, what, where, when, why, or how. And the
Yes.
second one is when it's not the first verb in the sentence, but it's the second or third. It's one of the later verbs, right?
Correct, yes. The first verb in the sentence will be conjugated like the independent pattern. So like the one on the left, and then the second and any additional verb in a sentence will be like on the right side, the conjunct. That's correct. Okay. All right, moving on. Okay, so now we added, this is the same pattern. We just added tense markers. So remember, on the independent side over here on the left, we use gi for what?
You.
No, gi.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That is past.
Past, correct.
Mm.
And we is
Future.
future. Thank you. And so your tense marker goes in between your Potawatomi prefix and the verb. Okay. So everything in purple, that's your tense marker. I always put the Potawatomi prefix in red. And then we've got the plural down at the bottom, the men, the M, and the K. So, okay. Now over here on the right, when we do conjunct, now, instead of it being GI for past, it is
GA.
GA. And instead of WI for future, it's
WA.
yes. Okay. Okay. Does that make sense to you? It's the same Maji pattern. We just inserted past and future tense.
Yeah, the way you have it laid out with the colors and the format is super clear,
Okay.
Shelley.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is.
Okay. And so I'm throwing something else in here now that I didn't have teach you last week, only because I probably didn't know it last week. My director has said it a couple of times this week, and so I have it in my notes. It would be handy to know. So here you go. Down at the bottom, if you want to indicate the immediate future, as in it's going to happen right now, you will use GE. So in this Maji pattern, I gave you the example down here. Instead of, so you say, let's see, Nawi Maji. We're in the independent. That's saying I will leave. but we don't know if that's in an hour and 2 hours, if it's tomorrow or next week, right? But if you use GE, if you say NGE and then Maji, you're saying I'm leaving right now. So that GE is immediate future. Okay?
Shelley, excuse me. This is Paige. Could you articulate the difference between NGI and NGE so we can hear it?
Well, it's still the same. Nagi. So Nagi Maji, you know, that's I leave. But then Nagi, it sounds the same. It sounds the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
So its context is probably what's going to give the listener
Yes, because
an okay.
yes. Because it's the way you're talking about you're leaving right now. Because if you said Nagi to them, then they'll be like, no, you didn't. You're still here. Talk to me. You didn't leave. Does that make sense? So you're right. It's in the context. Okay, you're still here. You're saying Nagi Maji. So they know that you're here. You didn't already leave. So that means you're leaving now.
Okay.
Does that-
But
Yeah, that makes sense.
But NG is in the past though, right?
Nagi,
So
NGI is in the past. Yes.
right, yeah.
But NGE is immediate future. Let me see, Jack.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I was just wondering like if it would be like if I'm like grabbing my bags and I say like Ngi Maji, it'd be like in English, it would be like, it would sound like I'm saying like, oh, I left. But context is like, oh, I'm about to leave. I am leaving now. Like Ngi Maji, we know that I'm here, but I'm grabbing my bags, I'm about to go. Like that?
Yes,
Oh,
correct.
okay. Okay. Like what?
Let's see. Where'd I go? I was trying to find okay, now let me go back, guys. I think I'm going the wrong way. Were we here? We were there. Jack, did you have a question? I was trying to find, I saw where you had your hand raised, and in trying to find that, then I got all messed up my page here.
Oh, my apologies for scrambling scrambling our screen.
No, it's okay. It's not your fault. I just noticed that Jack had his hand raised and
Oh. Yeah, I was just saying that with the Nigi Maji being in the past and then Nigi Maji being I'm about to leave. In the context, it would be like I'm gathering up my bags, I'm ready to go. And if I
right.
said Nigi Maji, I'm about to go, I'm leaving now, like the context clue is like yeah, I'm still here, but I'm gathering up my bags, so I'm about to go. It's not in
Right.
English, it would sound like I'm like, oh, I left. But we know that it's because I'm leaving now. Okay. Yeah. Just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, let me go on. So structure of the language, just talking about the verbs here, we're mostly dealing with VAIs, which are animate and transitive. Those are our basic statement verbs. I eat, I sit, I read, I sleep. You're not hurting anybody else. You're not affecting anybody else. Your VIIs, inanimate and transitive, those are descriptive verbs. So basically they're kind of like adjectives are in the English language. So they're like, it's red or they're red, it's round, they're round. The VTI, the transitive inanimate, that's where you have one animate something doing something to an inanimate something. So I read a book, he sits on a chair type stuff. And then the last one's the level 4, the VTA, transitive animate. That's where you have a animate or living or spiritual object that's interacting with another living or spiritual object. So it's like I smoked that pipe, I drove that car, I talked to him, he reads to you. And remember, car dabion is animate. That's why that's in here. It doesn't make sense probably, but it is animate. Okay, so those are your verbs. I covered a beginner 2 class just a few weeks ago in person. And so I actually talked more about the VII and the VTIs in that. I talked about the irregular verbs for the VAIs, that aren't covered in here. So there is more to learn beyond this class. I'm just said that to say that. And I think that's it for the review. Okay, how we doing? Any questions? You guys all doing okay? I didn't confuse you anymore. Hopefully I gave you a little bit better understanding of.
Yeah, Shelly, this is Lena again. I think it's super clear and loving your examples. I think what I'm getting, what Jack was saying a little earlier was like, if you say, ngi maji, that literally means I left, right? And then nge maji is like, I'm leaving right now, or I'm about to leave, right? Like that distinction.
Well, so that E on the GE, I asked my boss, my director, if it was a dicritical, and he said no. Because remember, like the dicritical, it can be long or short. But I mean, if that's that's a really good question.
Thanks.
Because
Could we,
the
yeah.
regular E is like a ah or eh sound. So see, everything is not always like 100% when you talk about the rules for the language. There are those exceptions that just don't fit in anywhere. So I get what he's saying. And Jack, I hope you're still with us, and I'm sorry I didn't get to you right away. I saw somewhere where it said you had your hand raised, and then I couldn't get to you. So I hope you're okay with that explanation.
Oh yeah, thank you, Shelley. Yeah, we talked. I was the gathered on my bags example, so we're good. Yeah, thank you for
Okay.
double checking.
Okay. All right. So let's move on. Let's see. We're going to talk about word order.
Perfect. Thanks, Shelly, and thanks, Jack. Just really quickly have one other question. And if you also say I fixed the clock, that's also an animate or spiritual person or entity doing something to another animate.
Yes,
right?
correct. Good
Cool.
example. Good example.
Miigwech,
Definitely
Shelley.
is.
Miigwech.
Yeah. Let me. Did I say we're going to do word order? Okay, now let me go back to this screen. If I can find it. Where's word order? Okay, are you guys seeing the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, here we go. Because so much of the information is contained in the verb, word order is not as important as in other languages. When asking a simple question, the ne, which indicates a question, should be the second word in the sentence or as close to the front as possible. And I have seen ne be like as far as like the third word, but most of the time it is the second word. So ne, N-E, is your simple question indicator. So an example is Gabuktene, are you hungry? Gui majine wabak, are you going to leave tomorrow? Dawalgumgok ne gagijia gagish penadoyan. Did you go to the store and buy something? Okay. So there's your question indicators for simple questions. And it should be second or no further than third in the sentence. Okay. We talked about this a little bit last week. You put the most important thing out front. Now, what's more important, the most important thing to you might not be the most important thing to me. So there's always different ways we can say it. It's a good technique to get into the habit of putting what's important to you out front. That gives you a lot of power as a speaker. So if someone asks you where you're going, you might want to think about putting that out front, or like what day of the week it is, or whatever. But yeah, try and put that out in the front. And if someone asked you when you were leaving, you would put the time out in the front. Okay, so it's kind of backwards to English. It ends up seeming backwards when we say it, and only because like we won't have a word for every word in English, in Potawatomi. So don't try to like match it up word for word, because it's not going to work. A note of caution would be to not say something in exactly the order you say in English. So if you said a sentence in English and then try to put like translate it into Potawatomi, and you're putting it like word for word in that way, it's like a good speaker would probably still be able to understand what you're saying, but it might be a little choppy, and they would know that you're like a new speaker, which there's nothing technically wrong with that. But just try not to get in the habit of doing it that way. Okay, so if there are several, and this is in the way. Okay, thank you. Actors in a sentence, it could be said or written in several ways. All are right, but one is the best case scenario. So on the next slide, they're all right, but the first one is the most appropriate. Okay, so I gave you 3 examples, I believe. Are you going to the casino tomorrow? So casino is Tadio, and then Gumgok is like the location. Okay, there's the nay, that's the question. It's in the second position. Gawija Wabuk. So that is the most preferred way to say it, but you could say Wabuk ne Gawija shi Tadiogumgok. So for that person, tomorrow is more important, or like the date is more important than the location. And then in the last part, Gawija Tadiogumgok Wabuk, which I would actually probably lean towards the third way myself. And whenever we make sentences, when we're having study time, the staff here, I would probably use the third one. That's what I would come up with. And then Justin would probably change it to the first one, putting the location out front. So, it's not wrong, but there's just always like a better option for how to use it.
Shelly, so the third one that you say that you would do personally, that's putting the you are going first, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that would be the you are going, and the nay is the question word, changing it to are you going, and then Tadio Gemgok. Tadio, you said is casino, and then what was Gemgok again, please?
Gimgok is actually talking about the location.
The location of the
That
casino itself.
location. Uh-huh.
Okay, and then
And
Wabek
that
is
was
tomorrow. Cool. Miigwech, Shelly. That's super clear.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, so that was a quick one on this one. Next we are going to our simple questions. Can you guys see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Shelly, if it's all right, I just have a quick question about Gemgok. Would you use that for everything if like if it's not the casino, like if it's like a church or a school or some
Uh-huh.
kind of community place, like would you always put that there? And is there any exceptions where you wouldn't put that there, or is that always there pretty much?
It's always there. Um, and we'll talk about that. Let's see. You know what? I don't even have it written down. No, I do. It's in the third class, but under indicator
Perfect.
of location. But you have Gumuk and you have Gumgok. Um, Gumuk is like referring to the actual like building or whatever it is. And when you say Gumgok, you're either at or you're going to that location. So like
Oh,
Bow Wow Gumgok, that's like a store, like a grocery store or just any kind of store. But yes, we'll always have that on there. So it just will change if you're just referring to the building itself or if you're talking about you're either at or going to that location. Excuse me.
that makes so much sense. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm definitely looking forward to that. Thanks, Shelly. Miigwech.
Okay.
Super clear.
Excuse me. Okay. So we talked about how nay is used to indicate a question, a simple question. That is usually the second word in the sentence. So the simple questions are kind of like in English, we have closed questions. You ask someone a question and all you're really wanting is a yes or no answer. Now, depending on the person, and some people are more chatty than others, you might get more than yes or no, but you really were only wanting a yes or no. So that's a simple question. And then if a person wants to tell you more, he or she could, but the question is set up for a yes or no. Sorry, I just said that. Let's see. In a later lesson, we're going to learn how to ask the who, what, where, when, why questions. So those are more open-ended questions. You're trying to get more information out of, the person. So simple question examples. We saw gabukdene earlier. That's are you hungry? Gagi wisene, did you eat? What makes it did you eat? What makes it that in Gagi wisene?
That gi, like GI,
That's
past
correct.
tense.
Miigwech, that's correct. Migadik ne, are they fighting? What makes that they? How do you know they're
The
talking about
K.
the
The
K?
K.
The K at the end.
That's correct. K at the end. Gadotmasne, are you busy? Gadotmasne. My boss will walk in during the day and he'll say Gadotmasne, and I'll say and he'll still say, could you come down here? We're gonna have class. And it's like, why even ask me if I'm busy if you're just gonna trump what I'm doing and have me come down for class? But yeah, that's funny. But he does walk in and say that a lot. And also this Gadoshatane, are you ready? Gadoshatane, are you ready? And Gawi Tadine, he doesn't ask this, but Gawi Tadine, are you going to gamble? Gawi Tadine, are you going to gamble?
I'm seeing the
Uh-huh.
Toddy is like gamble, but then also Tadio was the casino, right?
Mhm.
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
correct. We did have Tadio Gumgok in one example, I think last time maybe, or maybe this time. But
Yeah,
yeah,
just a few minutes ago.
yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. And then Gapuk Nagene, are you winning? Gapuk Nagene, are you winning? Okay. So there are some simple questions.
Shelly, could I ask a question real quick?
Uh-huh.
So when you say, I'm fascinated by this toddy nay, so you have the toddy, so it's gamble because if you'd have to have the gamgok for it to be a location, correct?
Yes,
Okay,
correct.
thank you. Miigwech.
Uh-huh. Godowigas. More examples. are you going fishing tomorrow? Wabuk ne gawi guadamochke. Guadamochke is our verb to fish. Wabuk is tomorrow. Ne is our question indicator, and gui, you going. Did you work yesterday? Nago ne gagi mcchewy. Nago is our yesterday. Ne is our question. Gagi is you did. And then mcchewy is our verb to work. Did that woman go home yesterday? Nago ne giwe okwe. So remember, Nago of course is yesterday. Ne question. Gi is past tense. Giwe is our verb to go home. And O is a demonstrative, which we're going to talk about later today. So we're talking about like that woman. Kwe is woman. And then, are you all leaving right now? Gamajim ne odajopi. Gamajim ne odajopi. So you all, that M, G plus M is the you all. Think about the Maji pattern and the plural. So first person plural is Namaji men. That's where you're excluding the person you're talking to. Gamaji men, that's where you're all gonna leave. And then Gamajim, which is the G plus the M, that's the you all. So are you all leaving right now? And then Odajopi is now. Odajopi is now. Okay, which word is the word are? So Gamajine, are you leaving? Majine, is she leaving? Gamajimane, are we all leaving? The answer is none, because when we translate the word back into English, it makes more sense to say, are you leaving, instead of the literal you leave question. So again, let's see, I can't think of the word. So it's implied. A lot of stuff is implied. When I say we don't have a word in Potawatomi, when we translate it back into Potawatomi, we won't have something for every word in English. It's usually implied when we say it. Does that make sense? I hope.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Miigwech. More examples without verbs. Megwane is more. You're asking, do you want more? Kopine, coffee. You want coffee? Chone, no. Shonyane, money. Do you have money?
I have a question, Shelley.
Oh, yes. Go
Yeah.
ahead, Paige. I'll ask after.
Oh, sorry, Lena, I didn't mean to jump in front of you.
No worries.
So chose no, but by adding nay, that's how you indicate that you're asking no as a question. Is that correct?
Correct. That's correct.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So like,
What is the
if you asked them like coffee nay, you're asking if they want coffee. Maybe they didn't answer you, so you're like chone, no. You know, does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Because you could say konage, ehe, chone. You know, you're saying, okay, tell me yes or no. Do you want coffee?
Shelley, quick question about like how we say questions. Question about questions in English. I learned once that like in English we do a rising intonation to indicate a question. So if I'm like coffee, that's kind of a question. But in
It
what about
is.
me when it's like copy ne? Copy ne.
Yes.
We don't do
Okay,
the
that
rising
is a
tone, right?
perfect question. Who is this? Is this Joyce?
This is Jack.
Okay, that is a perfect question. And something I am not good at yet. So yes, in English, when we do ask a question, our voice intonation does kind of change and it goes higher. It's not that way in Potawatomi. And it's so hard to break yourself from going high. Cause like when we do skits here and, you know, a lot of times I say my part, I automatically know, oh, I went high. I'm gonna have to redo it, you know? And so it's hard to get used to not doing that. But yes, you're absolutely correct.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
You mentioned OTP,
Otojopi.
Otojopi meant now.
Uh-huh.
What's the difference between that and Otopi and Gom?
So Otopi and Gom. So like you're saying today, like now today,
Uh-huh.
because in Gom is today. P is always uh like like now. Gosh, it's hard to explain. Let's see, you have like Nija P. We'll learn about that. Otojo P. Okay, give me a second to think about how to answer that. You stumped me real quick.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. And we're actually going to talk about those words a little
Okay,
bit later.
that's fine.
The P is just always like now. I don't know why we need Oda, but yeah. So, and if I'm wrong, I will correct that, but we'll get into that. And Ryan, if you remember the answer to that, you can hone in on that because
No,
I'm
I
one
know
of
what I was
those senior
thinking about it
moments.
because even Nepija, right? That's where, right?
Nepija, yes.
So that has nothing to do with now. So I was just thinking about that. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have an explanation for that. Actually, I'm gonna text Justin because I'm having a moment. I have a lot of those lately.
I do too.
Relatable. Same here.
I think it's just in the air.
I always do this to him. I'm like, I'm having a moment now. What is P? So some final thoughts. These type questions are simple enough. You should be able to start using them right away with your AI verbs from the previous lessons. Just remember to put the nay second in the sentence, but don't put it between the pronoun and the verb. Don't say gui ne maji. So you would say gui maji ne in that instance. Okay. So this is one of the examples when it's going to be the third word in the sentence, not the second. Justin might be eating. He'll get back with me if he sees that before class is over. So just bear with me on that. I will give you an answer to that question.
Okay.
Yeah, Shelly,
Okay.
I actually, I'm glad that the others chimed in since I actually had the same questions as Paige and Cynthia. I was just wondering in terms of the word for now, does each component mean something itself? I know you were just asking Justin about the P, but the O, can you say it all once again, please? And like what the others components mean, because it was 3 parts, right?
Otopi and Gom.
Like Otojo P.
Yeah, the one that you said and one that Cynthia said. Since I'm curious. Yeah, like an Oda.
So in Gomez today.
Gomez today, okay.
Gomez today. Now, Oda is actually a demonstrative. And so it's like you're kind of like placing someone somewhere. And Oda is like for something that's really close to you, and it's true for both animate and inanimate.
Like
so
something like this, but like it's close to both of you, maybe?
Yes. So I know that's what Oda is. And so I don't know why that's on there. That's probably a question that I had too, and I just like, but Yeah, I'll see if he gets back and we'll get an explanation from him. And if he doesn't get back to me before the end of class, and I talk to him tomorrow, I'll email you all
Perfect.
the
Thanks,
answer.
Shelley Miigwech.
Yeah,
That would be
that's a
great.
that's a
The other
great
quick
question.
question,
Uh-huh.
thanks, that I had was, I was actually looking at one of the skits on our YouTube page, and it was the two guys who were talking about like new shoes, and one of the actors said like "cho gets it," and I know you said "cho" is no, and I was just wondering what "get it" was in that case.
I know what
Like
skit
he was
you're talking about.
answering like "cho get it," like something about like no, it wasn't like what you were asking, and then I can look at the translation again on the videos, but yeah, I can also email the group the video in question later too, if that helps.
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay, here's Justin. Okay, so time in a sense. So let me see what he says. What is the Oda in Oda Jopi? Ah, I want to say, I keep thinking that Gete is like truly really old.
Okay.
I
Truly
think,
really old, did you say?
yeah,
Or
I
just
think I'm looking at it. That's what's coming to my head, Gete,
okay.
but maybe not. Gete. So Justin just says, it says, yeah, so at this time, but Oda is this, you
This.
know, like this close thing. Oda is a demonstrative. Why that's together, I don't know. But when we get into demonstratives, maybe it'll make more sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. And Joe, does that mean something particular as well?
Joe, I don't know. I don't know what that means.
No worries. Maybe
I
another question for
honestly
Justin.
Let me see. Yeah,
And Miigwech, Shelley.
yeah. Yeah, so Gete is truly like it is. It's truly or real.
Truly or real. Got it.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
so
or
Choget is
old.
not really.
So it's truly or really or old. That's one of the words that means
Okay.
like several things. Yeah.
Got it.
So I don't know
That
if
makes
in the
sense.
skit he was asking him if it was like new shoes and he's saying no, they're real old. You know,
Oh, that makes sense as well. Yeah.
yeah, it could have been
Wow. So cool.
that. Okay. Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. So the bend to win. Now we're going to talk about possession. And that's what that means. Possession in Potawatomi is involved when dealing with objects that you own, body parts, and other certain objects. The simple form basically involves putting an N for my or mine, a G for yours, or W for his or hers. So you guys are familiar with those Potawatomi prefixes already. In addition to pronouns at the front, okay, go back, I'm not done. In addition to pronouns at the front, the formal system includes an em at the end. And as far as I know, it's just a matter of preference if you're going to use the simple or the formal. So we're going to use as our example dope one, which means table. It's inanimate. It's a noun. So the simple form here on the left in dope one, you're saying my table. Godopwin, your table, or Dopwin or Wadopwin, that's his or her table. On the formal side, it's still, everything is the same except for you added the EM at the end. And that just makes it the formal form. So in Dopwinum, my table, Godopwinum, your table, Wadopwinum, his or her table. It means the same thing. It's just a matter of preference, what you use. Okay. So possession and relatives. So many Potawatomi words for relatives, body parts, and other certain objects can only be said in their possessed forms. That is, most of the time you can say my father, his father, but not just father, because if there is a father, he must be somebody's father. So father is os. So you see, if you're talking about your father, you're just going to put that in on the front. So nos, my father. We're talking about your father, so we're going to put a G on the front, gos. Now, the his or her father is a little bit different. It's going to be waosen, or without the W, osen, for his or her father. Gie is mother. You have Nagie, my mother. Gagie, your mother. And Wagie or Guienne, and I didn't put that, but that's his or her mother. I forgot to put my his or her here. Sorry, guys. So possession, it always cracked me up when I first started the language, and Justin would say that our body parts are possessed or our relatives are possessed, because you're thinking of it in like the demonic kind of way, I guess, if you will, but no,
Exactly.
it's not like that. That's how it would come across, but it's not like that.
It's almost Halloween.
Right. And it's always funny because it seems like I'm always doing this class like really close to Halloween, so it makes it that much more funny. So yeah. Okay. Body parts. So we have Jash, which is nose. So Najash, my nose. Gajash, your nose. Wajash, his or her nose. Simple, right? NGW. First person, second person, third person, singular. Ninses, that's my piece of hair you're talking about. One piece of hair. Ginses, your piece of hair. And Winses, his or her piece of hair. Now, just yesterday, Justin was going through some document that he's had for a really long time. He was going through finding words that we don't have in our dictionary, that we don't have, not only not in our dictionary, we just didn't have them. But he actually found some more words that they can use for hair. So I think he added those to the dictionary. But so ever since I've been here, which I'm coming on about 2 years, this is the only word for hair that I knew, which is nincest. But we're only talking about like maybe one strand of hair. So you just put your personal prefix on there, whether it's my hair, your hair, or his or her hair. Okay. And then nibet, which is tooth. Nibet, you don't have to put another N in front of that. Gibet or we bet for your tooth or his or her tooth. And then tog, ear. So in tog, my ear, gatog, your ear, wutog, his or her ear. So those, in the first class, I said that the Potawatomi prefixes are so important to learn, and this just shows you another reason why, because we use them for possession as well. Okay, this one's a little bit, might be a little bit more difficult to understand. So there is a quiet W on the front of a few words that we have, which affects the way that they are said in their possessed form. So those two examples, and these are the only two examples that I know of. There might be more, but if there are, I don't know. So dabion, which we know is a car. So, and it may be like old writing systems like Ojibwe or something, but at some point back in the day, there was a W and it just got taken off. So you have Indo-Dabianum, that EW makes that O sound. So when you have the W with the preceding E, it's going to sound like that O. So even though it's like, and we do actually change it. So you've got Indo-Dabianum, Gado-Dabianum, Wado-Dabianum for my car, your car, his or her car. Okay, but down at the bottom, it would look like Indo-Dabianum is how it sounds, and I just learned recently that's also how it looks. We go ahead and change it to a O. And then on the other side, again, the Pewagan, which is a pipe, it at some point had a W, so it's the same way. You've got that E and that W together. So it sounds like Indo-Pewaganum, Godot-Pewaganum, Wodo-Pewaganum. And down at the bottom, it's got the Indo-Pewaganum with the O in it, and we do use the O. I was, and I just learned that recently because I thought we used the EW still, but it just sounds like the O, but we actually do use the O. So
So Shelly, what you're saying in modern Potawatomi is that you just use the O now full time, right?
yes,
Okay. And also,
go ahead.
yes, in these forms, like if we see it in the spelling, we just say it like an O is what you're saying? Because
Yes.
of the older G-way forms and
Yes.
the way it used to be written.
So this, the NDE,
Uh-huh.
if you will remember back, this is, well, gosh, this is kind of confusing. So sometimes when you're doing conjugations, there's like a long form and a short form. And when you have verbs, if you use the long form, it stops changes from happening. It stops you from having to do weird things to the verb to conjugate it. But now this is possession, and these are nouns that we're dealing with. So you'll still run into like this rule when anytime that E and that W are together, when you're doing conjugations with verbs. So yes,
Okay.
and it does sound like the endo. You actually will use the endo. We'll get into that. We might get into that, but I could give you some more examples on that a little bit later if we have time, if we don't get into more of that. But yeah, so this is a good rule to learn. Again, these are the only two nouns that I know of. There's another, there's a verb, gia, which is a VAI verb, and it has at one point it had an I on the front. So that's the reason it's considered an irregular VAI verb. So it doesn't conjugate like the Maji pattern. So anyway, I'm getting like way out there.
No, this is fascinating to
So
me.
that's
Can't wait.
stuff that's forthcoming in like a beginner 2 or maybe an intermediate, depending on who's teaching it. So
Okay, Miigwech, Shelly. The other question I had was that those were all formal forms, right? That we were doing with the pipe just now, and the other one because I was just wondering if the class is wondering too. The formal form, do we use that when it's like a spiritual ceremony, or we just want to elevate it a little? Because I think I wasn't sure like when we used it. I know it's always the power of the speaker and we choose, but I guess I just wanted to know what it was in the first place.
Yeah, I actually had that question before too, because it's like, when do you use the formal versus, why would you use that? And that's just one of those things I just get Yorkshire Asian Way book, you just do. That's
We'll
the
get used
only
to it.
answer I have for you, because that's the only answer I've gotten.
Okay.
There are some things that I don't know. You just can't really explain. Because I guarantee you, I'm a question box, and I've asked all these questions. So, yeah,
So we'll live our way into the answer.
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll figure it
Perfect.
out.
That was very
if
poetic.
there is
Miigwech,
one.
Shelly.
Yeah.
I remember learning something in Spanish in high school that said, do you use the formal forms when you're speaking to, like someone you don't know or someone that's in a higher position or whatever? And then, so it could be that, especially because they use that pipe for the ceremony and they put it in the formal. It's like that would be more formal usage. I mean, you know, when you're speaking about a pipe.
Yeah, and that makes sense, but I don't know if that's like the real reason, because think about the other word, it was a car,
Yeah.
so yeah. But if I remember, I'll have a conversation with Justin about that again, but yeah, that's just something I've always wondered about too, but I just don't think there's like a true answer for. So okay, remember, relatives and body parts and objects are possessed in Potawatomi. We use those Potawatomi prefixes, the N, the G, and the W, to indicate his or her on the front of a noun. Different rules require adding different endings to the nouns. It depends if you are using simple or formal possession and or the short or the long form. So, again, that's not a real clear when to use which one. So my apologies there. Okay. Next, we are going to pluralization. Okay, in Potawatomi, you have animate nouns and inanimate nouns. We know that, and it depends if the word is animate or inanimate as to how you pluralize the word. Animate words are those which are living or spiritual. One thing to keep in mind is certain objects we might not perceive as animate in English are animate in Potawatomi, such as a car, and those spiritual items as well. Some words are easy, but others must just be memorized. Food is one area which can be kind of confusing, and certain foods are animate while others are inanimate. So we had learned all of that already. So some inanimate words are usually pretty easy to recognize. Remember, they end with "gen" and "when." Those are nouns. Most man-made objects, unless they're spiritual, are inanimate. Okay, to pluralize animate words. Okay. Most animate nouns, if the word ends in a vowel, all you're going to do is add a K to the end or an EK. So basically, if it has a vowel, it's just a K. If it ends in a consonant, you're going to add an E with it. You're going to add the vowel and add the K. Does that make sense? And then some speakers, like an older form of pluralizing, they will use YEK. So either one is acceptable. It's just speaker preference. And then on certain words, yuck tends to be favored over the EK. And again, you just kind of have to memorize which ones those are. If a word ends in a K, it will often take on an OK. So if it already has a K at the end, you won't put an EK or another K, it's going to be an OK. Also, a few words will take week, whether it's WIK or WEK for the plural. And there are not a lot like this, but words like nene, which is man. If you're wanting to pluralize that, you would add WIK, so that makes it nen week for men. And then Bashuke, which is cow, becomes Bashuk week for cows. And those are the only two examples that I know of that uses the week. I'm not saying they're the only ones, but those are the only two that I know of. Okay, so just to restate this, if you're pluralizing a noun, if it ends with a vowel, you just add a K, and that's if it's animate. If it ends in a consonant, then you're going to add the EK. Some words you'll use the YEK. If it ends in a K, you're going to use an OK. And very few words, it'll be WIK. And up north, they might do W-E-K, but we usually do W-I-K here. Okay, so remember that animate words to pluralize K or EK or W-I-K or OK. Now, I'm saying that because like when we get into the inanimate, hopefully there's like a little mnemonic thing that will help you remember how to do those. So here are some animate words that have been pluralized. So macaw, which is our word for bear, to make it plural, you just add that K because it ends in a vowel, right? Makok, bears. Namosh is a dog. It ends with a consonant, so you're going to add that EK. Namoshuk, dogs. Singo, which is squirrel, becomes, so this one is one of them that prefers the YEK. Singo yuck, squirrels. But actually singo, you could use just a K. So it could be singok or singo yuck would be acceptable. Quay is a woman. So it ends in a vowel. So you're just going to add a K to make it women, plural, quick. Pawagan is a pipe. Pawaganuk, pipes. Migwan, feather. Migwanuk, feathers. Dewagan, which is a drum. Dewaganuk, drums. Pinojay, child. Pinojay, yuck. There's that yuck again, children. So remember that definitely on Pinojay. When you go to pluralize it, you use the YEK. And then again, here's the nene, which is man. And you use the WIK, nenwick, makes it men. Okay, here we are with the inanimate words. So to pluralize most inanimate nouns, if it ends in a vowel, you just add an N. If it ends in a consonant, you add the EN. Some speakers prefer YEN. It's an older form of pluralizing. On certain words, it tends to be favored over just the EN. And so, for example, McCuck, which is a box, becomes McCuckwin. So if the word ends in a K, it's, remember in the last example, you use the OK. Well, in this example for the inanimate, you use win instead of en. So McCuckwin. That shows you that it's inanimate, but it also shows you that it's a noun. So my I don't know if you want to call it mnemonic device, when I was trying to remember, okay, which ones uses the E or the K or the EK or the WIK or the OK, was it animate or inanimate? So I always use the word inanimate to remember how to pluralize, because to do that you use ends. If it's inanimate, you know you're going to be using an N or an EN or YEN or WEN at the end of the word. And it's the same way with like inanimate demonstratives, and you'll see that here in a minute, like the endings. If there's an N in there, I believe that tells you that it's inanimate. Okay, so dope one, table. Dope one in. It ends with a consonant, so we're adding the en, tables. Toss one, cabinet. Toss one in, cabinets. Jeeptabwin, which is a chair, becomes jeeptabwin, chairs. No talkchigan, radio, becomes no talkchigan, radios. Bewabkos, which is a phone, becomes bewabkosin. Phones. Macomb Kakos is a fridge. Macomb Kakosen is fridges or refrigerators. Wasconado is a flower. Wasconado yen is flower. So there's one of your examples where it takes the whole YEN instead of just EN. Mishkos is grass. It becomes Mishkosen for grass. Grass. Mean is a blueberry, and blueberries are meanen. More inanimate words. We have nebiagen, which is a pen. Nebiagenen, pencils or pens. It's actually just referring to something that you write with. Jimon is a canoe. Jimonen, canoes. Wigwam is a house. Wigwamen, houses. Koman is a knife. Komanen, knives. Baduk jigen is a fork. Baduk jignen, forks. Gemsagen is an axe. Gemsaganen is axes. Makuznen is a shoe. Makuznen are shoes. Nopquagan is a necklace, and Nopquaganen, necklaces. So is that pattern making sense to you guys?
I think so.
Pluralized words. Just remember, for pluralizing animate words, it's going to be K, EK, OK, or WIK. And inanimate, it's going to be NEN, YEN, ON, I believe was one of them.
Shelley, did you say that if it already ends in en, it's just the same? Because I saw two words over there that look the same from the left to the right.
I think you are talking about
Chair.
chair. Where's chair?
Oh, it was on that screen you just had.
Oh, Jeep de Buen, chair. Jeep de Buenen, chairs. And do I have that spelled? Jeep de
But
Buen.
I was confused on this. How did you drop a letter? How did that? Did I miss
So
that?
yeah, you have Jeep de Buen, BWEN, Jeep de Buen. I believe I just didn't put it in there.
Oh, okay.
It should be BWENEN.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. That's
No, it's no problem. I assumed it was me not figuring it out. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Some words are just not pluralized. Mbish, which is water, mbot, which is soup, and sema, which is tobacco. Things to remember: if you see an EK or a K on an object, that usually means one of two things: that it is inanimate, or it is locative, saying something is at, on, or near something. So EK or K. So I see a typo. So that would be animate. I'm sorry, the EK and the K is animate. So you guys
Okay.
mark you a little note on that, mark that IN off. So it's either animate or it's a locative. And locatives we'll learn more about when we learn about locations, but that's basically what a locative is saying you're at, on, or near something. Okay, and we'll learn a little bit more about that. So a speaker can make an object animate in a story. And here's the example again we learned about, I think last time, where a mirror suddenly comes to life. In this particular story, it would be dealt with as animate, but otherwise it's inanimate. Okay, and so here's just a summation of for animate nouns. This is what you use: K, E, K, Y, E, K, O, K, Y, or W, I, K, or W, E, K. And then inanimate, it's going to be EN. So inanimate, in. So EN, YEN, ON, or WEN. And I should have put an N in here. Keep in mind some objects like Zinba, which is ribbon, Dabion, which is a car, or Perwagan, which is a pipe, are animate. And remember, most inanimate nouns will end in gen or when, which indicate they are inanimate. So always kind of cue yourself in on those words when you see them.
Shelley, that's such a good mnemonic that you just said. With inanimate, you remember the N or yen endings.
Yes.
And this is one of those things, I know you brought it up yourself, that you were also surprised that some words were actually inanimate, like in nature, that you were surprised to learn yourself, like the blueberries and the flowers and the grass. I would have thought those would all be animate.
Same, same. Me too, but no. It does not make any sense. So, yeah.
Did Justin or anyone ever say why like certain nature isn't animate though?
No, because I'm not sure Justin really understands either. You know, we've had that conversation before. You know, we do hear it a lot, Yorkshire's way, but that's just the way it is, you know, because when he was learning, he would question the people that he was learning from, you know, and
Yeah.
a lot of them, well, probably all of them were elders. And so, you know, yeah,
And they just said that's the way it is as
it's
well.
just the way it is.
That's the
Yeah.
way
But
it is.
it reminds me though about the plant thing, because corn has their seeds on the outside of the plant, not the inside, like a tomato does.
Uh-huh.
And I wonder if that has something to do with it.
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, yeah, you would just have to really sit down and think about it all to
Uh-huh.
rationalize it. Now, years and years ago, when I first started trying to learn the language, they said, so like pen, which is a potato, it's animate. And I was told back then, and I don't know if this is true, it's because it has eyes. But I don't know if that's true. At that time, I accepted it because I was like, you know, and I can't remember what Justin said, but I did say that to him. He's like, maybe, you know, that's all I got, maybe. So,
But that's another thing, like those eyes, if you take, they're on the outside of the potato, like the corn is on the outside of the cob. And
uh-huh,
if you plant the eye of the potato, it grows another plant.
yeah,
So it could have something to do with that. I don't know, but it's just something to think about.
yeah, definitely. I agree. Let's see. We just did what? Pluralization.
That's a good reflection, Cynthia. Yeah, because potatoes have eyes, corn has ears, and it's all on the
Uh-huh.
outside. So something to think about for all of us.
Yeah, that's another good one.
Love it.
Okay, guys, we're going to talk about demonstratives. Okay, so you really got to get this one too. I tried to give different examples of putting this out there, so hopefully one of these ways will help it get in there. But this is like a pattern that you need to learn too. So demonstratives: this, that, these, and those. Okay, and we're talking about the location or proximity of something to us. So when you're speaking, so far away may depend on perception. So it matters if the word is animate or inanimate. But remember, my far away might be something totally different from your far away. Okay, it's a matter of perception. So animate and inanimate. Animate means living spiritual objects, and many objects in nature. Inanimate are man-made, non-living things such as a chair or branch on the ground. So here are your demonstratives. Here are the animate ones. Singular ones are Oda. So Oda is like this close thing. If I'm talking about this puppy, if I had a puppy, I'm talking about Oda. That means it's right here beside me. O is going to be a little bit farther away, and Ago is further away, that far away. Puppy. Then when you get down to the plural, Goda, again, you're talking about these puppies that are right here beside me. Gi is those that are a little bit further away. And then eggy are those that are way far away. Okay. So animate demonstratives, Oda, O, Ago, Goda, Gi, eggy. I walked around forever going, Oda, O, Ago, Goda, Gi, eggy. I did. And so those are your animate demonstratives if you're talking about something. And so here are your inanimate demonstratives. You will notice that Oda is also for this close thing here. It's the only one that is the same for both animate and inanimate. So Oda is this close thing right beside me, this fan. I have a fan right beside me. E is that fan that's a little bit further away. EI, that far away fan. Okay, now here's where the mnemonic comes in again. So you have your plurals, you have Noda, these fans that are right here beside me, Ni, those fans are a little bit further away, and any, those that are far, far away. Oda, e, noda, ni, any. Those ends, inanimate. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. So that's what I use to remember these demonstratives, which ones are animate, which ones are inanimate. So I would just like go through your pattern. Oda o ago, go to gi egi. Oda o ago singular, go to gi egi plural. Learn that one and then start doing your inanimate ones. Oda e singular, noda ni any plural. Okay, so those demonstratives, and we do use them quite a bit. You actually will, let me see what this next one is. So I already brought this out. Oda is the same thing for both the animate and the inanimate. And then here's my little note. Also notice how the ones that are inanimate plural are noda, ni, and any. So there's that in. And then while the animate plural ones are go to gi and eggy. And I was going to see if I have them like side by side. So here are examples of how to use them. And these are, well, the first one is a question word for those of you that don't know that. We'll get to it. But Wanisha, go to quick. So Wanisha, who, and then these close. So plural, go to, animate, women, quick, plural, more than one. Okay, does that make sense? Wanisha is our question word for who. And then Goda, we're talking about these close animate things. Quay is a woman. We put that quay on there. Remember, we just now learned pluralization. So for animate, we add a K if there's already a vowel. So that makes it women. Who
Oh,
are
yes.
these women?
And the Goda is like these women who are close to us, the speakers right now, right, Shelley?
Yes, correct.
Perfect.
Yes. Okay, and then Mishan e Mazinigan. So Mishan is like give me. Mishan, give me that a little ways away book. Mishan e Mazinigan. So a book is inanimate. So you have your Noda, let's see, Oda e. So we're talking about one book, so it's second level, just a little bit further away. That's your E, which is an I, by the way, but it's pronounced E, right? Because our I and our vowels, it's like a double E.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Because I
Shelley,
realized I could have just got you guys so confused right there, but yes.
Can I ask, Shelley, can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
I'm not sure who said this, but that just piqued my interest where you said close to the speaker. Is it any way, and you don't have to teach us this today, but what if it's close to an object that's not the speaker? Then it's a different phrasing altogether. So close to that, who are these women close to that building? We need you to go the quick. That would be close to the speaker, but is it positional? Is it always positionality of the speaker that these phrases?
So it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be the speaker. It could be that building. You could be talking about like a noun, an inanimate thing, but really what you're really referring to is the location, how close it is in proximity to whatever you're talking about.
And then you would throw in the name of the building or like a builder. Who are the
Like store,
yeah.
Dawalgamuk, you know.
Mhm.
Who are those? If you're saying like Wanisha, let's see. Oda o ago go to gi eggy. So like in that, like Wanisha, let's see. Who are those women by the store? But you wouldn't really know where the store is. Yeah, so I'm gonna have you guys, that's gonna be homework. You need to make
Oh gosh, I'm so sorry, and I
no,
apologize
you need
to
to make up
everybody
a
for that one.
sentence using the demonstrative. So I was trying to say like Dawalgamuk, just to use that for an example. It doesn't have to be me like the speaker, but you're just talking about proximity to something. Because if you think about it, you're trying to tell someone, if you're asking, who are those women over there, you know? So yeah, you're just talking, it's really related to proximity to something. Not necessarily doesn't have to be the speaker, but it could be.
Okay, miigwech.
Like you could be saying, you ask, who is that standing by John? Who is that woman with John? You know? So yeah, yeah, I'm probably not doing a good job of explaining it, but I do get what you're saying. Mission EIB Wapkos, give me that far away phone. Mission EIB Wapkos. So see, in the first one we had Mission E Mazinigan, and we're talking about that book that's just a little ways away. So Oda E, and then E Biwabco. So still in the singular, but it's third level far away. EI, Mission EI Biwabkos. Vietnam Oda Moschwagen. Pass me this close scissors. Vietnam Oda Moschwagen. So Oda, remember, works on both sides for animate and inanimate. And we're talking about this close. And so scissors. Okay. More examples. Wegnesia Oda, what is this? Wegnesia Oda, so Wegnesia is what? And then Oda is like this, it's right here, you know? Maybe you walk in the house and there's a box there and you're like, Wegnesia Oda, you want to know what this is, what's in this. So Misha Noda Mazenaganen, give me these inanimate close books. So there's our Noda, which is plural, first level, and we know it's plural because you've got E in here on the end of Mazenigan. So that tells you it's plural books. So that's why you had to use Noda, because it's plural. Wegnesia E, what is that? And you're talking about something a little ways away. What is that? Wegnesia Gi Bamazajuk. Who are those a little ways away people? So plural, animate, Goda, Gi. So Gi is second level plural, and they're just like a little ways away. They're not right beside you. They're not far away. They're a little ways away. Okay. I know these are probably confusing, but try to become familiar with these and work on getting the pattern down. You will use this quite a bit. Usually if a person or thing is in a sentence, it will be marked with one of these. Let me see. Okay, so here's another way to look at it, putting them all together. And really, we mostly use like the Oda and the O and the Goda and the Gi, the Oda and the E, the Noda and the Ni. We use those more than we use like the far away singular and plurals for both the animate and inanimate. So if that, maybe looking at this, viewing it this way helps you, but I think also I might have a visual like this. So if you picture whatever you're talking about is here in the middle, and so this side is animate, so this close animate thing, a little bit further away, oh, I'll go way over there. And then these down here are plural, still animate side. So you're here in the center. Goda, these close animate things, Gi, those a little bit further away animate things, or Eggy, those far away animate things. And then over here is your inanimate side. You've got your Oda, your E, and your E. And then that's your singular, Noda, Ni, Any. So hopefully one of these ways that it's presented, either this way or that way, will help it make sense to you.
Yeah, that diagram is super clear, and so is that chart, Shelley. And I think Candace had a really good reflection about just like if someone or something is placed close to something else, like a building, but it's might not be close to the speaker, like you were saying, those might use different prepositions entirely, right? Or would we use some of these demonstratives? Or I guess it really depends on how the sentence itself is said.
Yeah, you would definitely use different demonstratives.
Okay, okay,
Yes.
that makes sense.
Yes.
Language.
Yes. Uh-huh.
That's very helpful. Thanks.
Uh-huh. You're welcome. Okay, let's talk about how much time we got. 6:40. So we've got indicators of time. And slideshow. Okay, so time indicators, we're really just talking about different times of the day. Time was never important to the Potawatomi people. You did something until you got it done or you went without. The most important mark that we had for time were the seasons. We followed a 13 moon cycle. Each one was descriptive of what was done during that month. So for example, like up north, they have maple syrup month or leaves changing color month. I think ours have been adapted down here because we don't have some of that, but so the concept of hours and minutes, these also tended to make little difference until modern times to our people. You may have heard the expression running on Indian time, hence running behind or getting something done in your own good time. So we're going to explain this we're going to explain in this lesson how we talk about time today, as our world has certainly become very dependent on time. So we're going to focus on different times of day. These would be seen as much more important to our ancestors than exact time. Besides, our ancestors would have been very adept at telling exact time by looking at the sun. But today, if someone asked one of us to look at the sun and tell them what time it is, we would most probably be lost or at least a little bit off and are not able to do it. Some words for times of day, Ngom, which is today. Wabuk is tomorrow. Waban is in the morning. Pekonyak is in the evening. And Gishep would be early morning. How do we say time? It is indicated by the letters PI. For example, Odajopi means at this time. So time is, the PI is time, always refers to time. So Bama P, which is used for goodbye, literally, it means at a later time because we don't really have a word for goodbye. So you say Bama P, so you're saying at a later time. But we cannot use P alone. So maybe that's why we have like the Oda Jopi, and I really don't know what the Jo is, but we just learned what Oda is. Examples of time, Bos Gishep would be very early morning. Jiba, this past morning. The bucket, which is night. Opted bucket is midnight or halfway through the night. Opted always means like half. The buckok, we're talking about last night. Gish cup of cognac, which is dark or after evening. Gishket is just day. Nalque is noon. And Nalquek is like at noon. If you're telling somebody you're going to do something at noon, you would say Nalquek. Gish Nalque is going to be afternoon. So anytime afternoon, like literally noon after 12 o'clock, is Gish Nalque. And then Begeshmok is evening, the time when the sun sets. Begeshmok. That's one of our directions too. Our language is extremely descriptive, so a word of caution. Don't become too worried about what a word literally means. We only tell you these things because we find them interesting. As you learn more of the language, you will understand why these words mean what they do. However, if you worry too much about the literal meaning, you might miss the word's everyday usage. An example is instead of hearing opted bucket and thinking midnight, you might think, this means halfway through the night. And then the time it takes to think about it, then the rest of the sentence may have gone by. And that happens to me all the time. It's really hard to break from. So that's it when we're talking about indicators of time.
It's just so poetic though, halfway through the night. So we can't help but think about it that way.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Off
beautiful.
day, anytime you see off day, it's like half. Okay, and the last PowerPoint I have is on diminutives, which is how we make things small. I didn't think we would get through everything since I added in that review, but yep, it looks like we're gonna make it. Okay, so making things younger or smaller. So diminutives are suffixes that indicate small size and youth. Okay, go away. Okay, there are a couple of ways to do this. One way is to use the verb gachie, which means he or she is small. If you're talking about something inanimate, gachinwa, it is small, or you can add imget, which is like an augmentation. It's called an augmentation. So it is small. Gachie o gigabe, you're talking about a small boy. Gigabe is boy. Gachie o namosh, you're talking about a small dog. Just like certain words can make a word small, we can also use a word to make a noun young by using a preverb, which is shka. It means young. So an example, shka kekyat would be young elder. Kekyat is elder. A diminutive noun most often will have a specialized meaning distinct from the noun it was derived from. Adding a diminutive changes the meaning that something is physically small or just small relative to your expectations. So the easiest way to make objects small or young is to use the Potawatomi diminutive suffixes. So we are going to add an S if the noun ends in a vowel, or an ES if it ends in a consonant. So this is similar to pluralization, where we used EK or K or EN or N. Now we're using an S or an ES. So if a noun ends in a vowel, we're just going to add an S. A noun ends in a consonant, we're going to add an ES. And a noun ending in when or gen, which are inanimate objects, you're going to change it to was or gus. So if it ends in WEN, you will now change it to WAS, or GEN, you will change it to GAS. So an example for English, we have dog. We usually just say doggy. Pig, we say piglet for a little one. Book might be a booklet. So in Potawatomi ways, we have namosh. So because it ends in a consonant, we add that ES, it becomes namoshes. That's like a puppy. Kokosh, which is a pig, we add the ES because it ends in a consonant. So kokoshes, that would be a piglet. Mazenigan, which is a book, it ends in GEN. So we're going to change that to GAS, becomes Mazenigas, which is a booklet.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
On that last word, why do they put that like comma in between those letters?
I really don't know. You will see that we have quite a few words that have that.
Okay.
I really don't know why. It could be like they're separating particles, but don't quote me on that. I really don't know.
Okay. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Shelley, I have a question. So for if you say que, and then you would add quest,
Yes,
quest,
you'd add an S.
are
So you're
you,
talking about a little woman? It could
yes.
be a young woman.
So how do you distinguish if you're trying to say young woman or small woman?
Well, let's see. So, I mean, there's ways to talk about little girls, but
Is
I
there a
mean,
different word for girl?
Girl is Gigyago. So that's girl. But quest just means like I mean, you could just picture it as like a little woman, or maybe like someone that's younger. I do believe we have other words that might tell you, like if you're talking about a teenage girl. I can't think of what that is right now, but quest just means you could be referring to a little girl also.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I probably
Shirley,
didn't do explaining that, but
I just wanted to share. I did a deep dive last night, and I was reading this linguistics article about Potawatomi phonology, and one of the things it mentioned was like residual traces of nasal vowels, like in like the one of the words for yes is is it
Yeah.
yeah. So it mentioned that as one of the examples, and then also mentioned these diminutive suffixes as being an example of where some speakers will kind of still have a little bit of nasalization, like maybe like Nemosh turning into Nemoshes. They might say it like Nemoshes with like a little bit of a nasally sound.
oh yeah,
And it's
okay.
apparently a trace of like it's in Ojibwe, they still have an N. Their diminutive is NS with an N still in there. And so it's like a remnant of that apparently from an earlier stage of the language.
Oh wow, that's interesting. I'm glad that we get well, I get the words transcribed, everything that we say, so I'll have to talk to Justin about that. That's interesting. Miigwech.
Shelley, is it the same if it's an inanimate or animate? It doesn't matter. It's the same ending for diminutives.
Um, let's see.
Because it said booklet, and I would assume that's
So
inanimate.
so the difference is gonna be like, you know, if it's inanimate, it's gonna end in gin and win, right? Or it's gonna be
Right.
like
I was just thinking about the diminutive part of it.
mm-hmm. Well, if it ends with like gin and win, then you would change it to like GAS or WAS, whereas like with the other ones, it's just like a S or ES. Um, let's get into this a little bit more. Yeah,
Miigwech.
you guys are really pushing my brain tonight. Let's see, Zbe, which is river, which is inanimate. You've got Zbes, it makes it like a little river. Zbis, sorry. Pequeshkin, which is bread. So Pequeshgas would be like a cracker or cookie. It could be anything else. It's not just a cracker or a cookie, but just like a smaller type of bread. Could be like, you could be referring to like Melba toast or something like that, but Almo, which is bee, so almos, which is a small or a young bee. Namosh, there's Namosh again, dog, Namoshes, puppy. Pinoj, child, Pinojess is a baby. Mako is a bear, Makos is a bear cub. Dabion is a car, Dabianes. You could be talking about a golf cart or like a Segway or maybe a scooter, you know. So if we think back about your question, I guess it doesn't change to something else, because we have both animate and inanimate things here that we're talking about, and these are all like S and ES. So I guess it just depends if it ends with a consonant or a vowel. I believe that here it's going to tell us that you could still, like with Begedshkin, which is a hammer, see down here, you could still well, it changes to Begedge Gus, but it tells us right here that we could still just do, let's see, maybe it's on the next one. To keep things simple, so if a noun ends with when or again, then add was or gus. But to keep things simple at first, you might want to utilize s or es to that format until you become more comfortable with using was and gus. So either way would be acceptable. So if we go back, so we're talking about Begedshkin us. You could just put like the es on there. People would understand what you're saying. You're talking about a little hammer. It really should be Begedge Gus, changed to GAS, but you could get by with Begedge Ginus. Does that make sense? Okay. And say, so what it's basically saying is this is the correct way, but until you get real familiar with it, you could still use the ES, the S or the ES on certain things. Okay. So you can use gotchie, gotchinois, or shka with just about any noun or pronoun to make it small or young. And so anyway, that's it on the diminutives. Next week. So I will definitely need to go over indicators of location. That's a PowerPoint. I don't know, we do have a PowerPoint on dialects. I do get a lot of questions about the different kind of like the writing systems, and that might give a little bit more information about it. We can cover it or not. But next week I had intended on doing just activities with you. I will probably do like another little refresher study PowerPoint, but I wanted us to do like interactive activities to put into practice what you've learned so far. So like making up sentences, like I may give you some sentences and have you transcribe them. And then, so beyond week 3, let me see what I have in 4. I wanted to do stuff like basic greetings. How many of you know how to introduce yourself in Potawatomi?
I think the one word that someone mentioned before in first class was bojo, to say hello, right? But that's all I know.
Sydney
Okay. Yes.
I got that.
Okay.
I've got
So it might
Cindy.
be a good idea for us to do like basic greetings. And then I also like for us to do skits, which is like and you know, if everyone could participate. So it's a skit that we've written up, and I think the one that I have is about lunch. We're trying to decide where we're going to go to lunch at. So each one of you would take a part, and with you reading the skit, we believe it helps with the phonetics and with your cadence, like with saying, actually speaking Potawatomi. I know it helped my sister and I tremendously when we first took a class with Cole and Josie, and they had us do these skits. It was like terrifying because it's like, I don't know how to pronounce those words. But by the end of the class, you know, we looked forward to doing these skits because we're like, hey, we're talking Potawatomi, you know. But it does help you like pay attention to like how words end to know how to pronounce them. So I do want to do stuff like that, but seeing as how it seems like not a lot of us know like basic greetings or like introducing yourselves, we could work on that as well. And I don't know if you guys would want me to like give you stuff like on colors, if you know colors.
Oh, yes. Definitely, please do.
Oh, you do? Okay. And then like animals.
Yes.
Okay. And then like we do have some relative terms that we could, like how say aunt, uncle, brother, sister.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be
Okay.
perfect.
So, numbers.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, yes. So I had all of that written down for like week 4. So next week, we'll definitely do the indicators of location, PowerPoint. I will review you and then we'll just do some activity type stuff, making up sentences. So just be reviewing like what we did, what we learned in the first class and in this class, become familiar with like pluralizing and possession, and we'll just have fun with it. So try to learn how to share your screen, because I know in one of my classes, I had asked people if they could get these little bitty whiteboards. They're about maybe like, I don't know, 11 by 13 or so, but they're maybe a couple of dollars. Or I made sure everybody had notebooks because you can like write. I don't know. Are you guys seeing me? Can y'all see me?
They're too little. I can't see it, but
Okay, so if you just have like a notebook.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you write a sentence, I would like for you to be able to like show it to the class so we could see like what you did. So either a notebook or a little whiteboard. That's how I would like you to participate moving forward. And so I know we do have 2 more classes scheduled. I could do a third one on the 20th. I'm sorry, a 5th one on the 20th, but then after that, it's Thanksgiving, so, we won't be here. So if you guys are interested, if we didn't get everything covered that you wanted, we could have a 5th class on the 20th. So you might think
Yes.
about that.
And also, Shelley, would it work if we also put the sentences that we try to make in the chat as well if we don't find a whiteboard or notebook in time?
Yes, absolutely. And I apologize, guys. I had told myself to kind of be better at watching the chat, and I'm not. I haven't I haven't been watching it, so I apologize. I do get the transcripts, and so I will see it. I think there was someone that had asked something in the chat last week, so I was able to like email them and respond. So my apologies there. I get kind of caught up in like the lesson and not watching like what's going on in the chat. And whoever it is that's like advocating and speaking for people, like if I miss that, I really appreciate you doing that. That's really, really helpful for me to be able to have that and hopefully get with you guys. So what is she saying? Could you set up a messenger group? That's a great idea. Would anyone want language partners maybe just messaging each other on Facebook? Oh, so are you guys all getting this? Someone wants to have a messenger group set up on Facebook for us to be able to communicate, ask questions, and I initially made it just like Marketplace. Great idea. So yeah, I mean, if you guys want to do that, that's a great idea. Maybe not everybody has Messenger too, so that could be a problem, but definitely those that do have it, that would be a great way to learn also. But please know that you can email me anytime, ask me questions. I can send you more handouts, maybe if you tell me like what you think might help you better. And there may be that I have them already because I'm always making up different types of material, just trying to make it easier for people to try to meet all those different learning styles. So just let me know how I can help you. And I just want to say that you guys are great. Be patient with me because while I have learned a lot in the 2 years, I still have a long way to go. And sometimes I have a lot of senior moments and I'm not able to really think through your questions because you guys just blasted me tonight. But it's good. It keeps me on my toes. So I appreciate you. If there are no more questions, I'm going to go ahead and call it a day. And I will send out the study guide that I did to you guys, and then I'll send out the information for next week's class, probably early next week. So just always communicate with me how I can help you, and I appreciate you all so much.
Thank you so
Miigwech,
much,
miigwech,
Shelley.
miigwech. Uh-huh.
Miigwech.
Thank
I
you.
was just
Thank you.
wondering whether so whoever wanted to make the groups, should that person just go ahead and do so, or would you and Justin be able to do an official class group for us, for those of us who want to join and practice in between with each other as well, Shelley?
So if it's Messenger, we would need to know, like, you would need to email me and let me know if you have Messenger,
Okay.
and we could certainly create one. Yes.
Okay, that would be great. And also, I just wanted to say everyone had really good questions and reflections, and I just wanted to shout out Frankie because I'm also interested in learning more about Potawatomi phonology. So I majored in linguistics myself in college. So if you wouldn't mind maybe sending us the paper or the link that you found, or in the email, or if we have a moment in the group chat, either way is fine. I just wanted to shout out everyone, and especially that question, Frankie. And my last question for now, Shelley, is whether I think the skits are a great idea. I'm definitely interested in acting, and just like having that emotion, having us practice those sounds and those words and those sentences. Could you send us, in addition to the study guides and worksheets this week, maybe some of those skits so that we can start practicing on our own, or some of us with our friends in here, just so we could get a hang of like getting the words out before next class, please?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, sounds wonderful. And I see that Frankie just did the paste. Thank you so much, Frankie. Miigwech. Please give me a moment to open that and copy and paste it. I think I got it. Thank you so much, Miigwech, Shelley, for everything, and miigwech, everyone, for being here. And I can't wait to see you all next week.
Miigwech. Everybody stay safe.
Miigwech, see you soon.
Miigwech.
Mamamina.
Chimigwech.